last part with respiratory movements and the clinical anatomy of thorax, especially this part from BD Chow ratio. So okay, let us start the respiratory movements. So the anterior end of the rib is mainly having a lower, the anterior end of the rib is lower when compared with the posterior end. So by means of diagram you can understand. So for example, this is the anterior end of the rib, this is the posterior end of the rib, right? But the anterior end of the rib is somewhat lower. You can see it's like lower, but the posterior end is higher. And the elevation of the rib at the anterior end moves forwards, occurs in vertebrosternal ribs. So for example, this is a normal rib before elevation, the rib after elevation. Here in this diagram you can clearly make out. So the rib before elevation, rib after elevation, you can see there is increase in especially increase in anterior posterior diameter. Anterior posterior diameter is increased mainly in case of vertebrosternal ribs, vertebrosternum, because here the rib should be connected to the sternum, then only this will happen, because the sternum is the one, because of its elevation upward only there is increase in diameter of anterior posterior. So you can see here the anterior posterior diameter increases, the body of sternum also moves up, and this is called pump handle movement. So it's like a pump handle movement. So this is the anterior posterior diameter. So remember, anterior posterior diameter is a pump handle movement. It mainly increases the diameter, and it is mainly seen in vertebrosternal ribs because it's related. This pump handle movement is related mainly with the sternum. And next you have the middle of the shaft of the rib lies at the lower end. So shaft of the rib at the middle, it lies at the lower end than the plane passing between two ends. So therefore, during elevation of rib, shaft also moves outward and increase the transverse diameter. So increase in transverse diameter is because of increase in you can see the middle of the shaft of the rib lies at lower end. So actually this is according to bucket handle movement. So for example, I will show this one. So this is a bucket. So this is a bucket. These are the hooks of the bucket. So think this is the anterior end with where the sternum, and the posterior end where the vertebrae are located. So this is a handle of the bucket. So first the handle of the bucket will be like this, but later it increases like this. So because of this, as it is elevated, there is increase in transverse diameter. So especially it is seen in vertebrochondral ribs, and this is called bucket handle movement. Why vertebrochondral ribs? Here because mainly the cartilages are involved which are increasing this transverse diameter. So vertebrochondral ribs are called bucket handle movement. And also 2 to 6 cartilages of vertebrosternal are also involved here, but mainly remember vertebrochondral ribs are involved in transverse diameter. In anterior posterior diameter, the sternum is involved, and it is a pump handle movement. This is a bucket. So now we will create a story. First you have pumped the water, next you have took the bucket. So in the pumping of water, the anterior posterior diameter is increased, and in the bucket movement there is increase in transverse diameter because of vertebrochondral here, and there the pump handle movement is due to vertebrosternum. Very easy. Now we'll see, on elevation of large lower rib comes to occupy the position of smaller upper rib. So like this, if the elevation, so this rib position will be coming here, and further like that it will increase and take upon the upper rib position. This also will increase the transverse diameter of thorax. So this is about the transverse diameter and anterior posterior diameter. Now let us see the vertical diameter. The vertical diameter means like this. So for example, so this is called vertical like upward, this is called vertical diameter, and the vertical diameter is increased by descent of diaphragm as it contracts. So mainly because of descent of diaphragm, means if the diaphragm is coming downward, then there is increase in vertical diameter. So these are the main important respiratory movements. You have the anterior posterior respiratory movement, and you have your transverse movement and transverse diameter, and also have vertical diameter. So anterior posterior diameter is mainly seen in vertebrosternal, and because it's mainly of increase in like elevation of sternum there, and the transverse diameter is increased mainly the bucket handle movement, mainly because of increase in cartilage elevation, that is a vertebrochondral ribs are involved, and the vertical diameter is mainly involving the diaphragm. So now let us see the respiratory muscles. So respiratory muscles, of course we have quiet breathing, right? In quiet breathing, inspiration especially the diaphragm and intercostal muscles, especially in inspiration means the external intercostal muscle is involved, and in quiet expiration it's just passive process passively by elastic recoil of alveoli and also thoracic wall it happens. This all we already discussed in our physiology, but once again let us see as the topic is there here. And forced breathing, forcefully you are doing inspiration, then diaphragm, internal and external intercostal, and also sternocleidomastoid and scalenus muscle, and also serratus anterior, pectoralis minor, erector spinae, electnaceae open up the external. So these many muscles are involved if there is forced inspiration. And in forced expiration, the muscle, especially abdominal wall, is used, that is, and also latissimus dorsi. So abdominal wall, latissimus dorsi are useful for forced expiration, but whereas a passive expiration is a normal quiet expiration, but in forced expiration you need abdominal wall with latissimus dorsi. Now let us see inspiration. So if inspiration is quiet, like normal quiet, we need anterior posterior diameter increasing. So if anterior posterior diameter increases means it's like a pump handle method, means sternum is elevated, so elevation of 2 to 6 ribs and first rib is fixed. And transverse diameter increased by elevation of 7 to 10 ribs, and vertical diameter increased by descent of diaphragm. And next let us see deep inspiration. In deep inspiration the movements increase, and in quiet inspiration and in first rib the elevated by mainly scalene and indirectly by sternocleidomastoid. In concavity of thoracic spine is reduced by erector spine. Next let us see the forced inspiration. Here all movements are exaggerated, scapula is elevated and it's fixed by trapezius, levator scapulae, rhomboides, serratus anterior, pectoralis minor, acts as left. So all these are involved, and the action of erector spinae increases. Next let us see expiration. It's quiet, then air is expelled by elastic recoil and by abdominal muscle. Deep and forced expiration is by strong contraction of abdominal muscle along with latissimus dorsi. Now let us move on to clinicals. So to understand the clinicals we also have some diagrams. So for example the first one is manubrosternum puncture. You can see this is called manubrosternum puncture. It is done mainly for testing of bone marrow examination. And there is an anomaly called funnel chest. So this is, you can see this is a funnel chest and this is a pigeon chest. So funnel chest is because the sternum is depressed here, and in the case of pigeon chest is a forward projection of sternum. So there the problem is with the sternum. And next we have the annulus fibrosus rupture. So sometimes nucleus pulposus, annulus fibrosus are present in a vertebral disc. So if the annulus fibrosus, there is a peripheral part, undergoes rupture, there is prolapse of nucleus pulposus, because inside nucleus pulposus prolapse. So you can see this is the prolapse of nucleus pulposus. Because of this there is disc and also sometimes disc prolapse also present in posterior lateral, also may occur after minor strain or minor injury. So prolapsed nucleus press on adjacent nerve roots and give pain which radiates along the distribution of nerve. So for example you can see this prolapsed nucleus is giving pressure to this nerve and this related pain will be observed in the patient. So such pain is seen in a long course of sciatic nerve called sciatica, and the major effects may follow, like motor effects may follow. In the disc prolapse in the lower lumbar region is common in lower cervical region from 5 to 7 cervical vertebra. And in so we completed that. Now dyspnea. Dyspnea means short breathing, right, like failing of breathing. So the patient is comfortable only in sitting position when compared with leaning forwards and fixing arms. So patients feel comfortable while sitting. The cervical rib is pressure on subclavian artery, and in cardiac surgery the manubrium or body need to be split, and sternum is protected mainly by attachment of elastic costal cartilage. So here you can see that in dyspnea what are the problems. In sitting the person can get nice breathing, but whereas in standing or sleeping, already a lot of in sleeping the venous pressure increases, it's very hard for the heart also to pump the blood, so oxygen supplying will be further decreased in sleeping position, but in sitting position the respiration will be normal. So by this we completed our osteology of thorax. Next we'll start with the wall of thorax and continue with the pleura of thorax.